Winter is usually a difficult season for me. My motivation, energy, and creativity tend to drop, and the constant cold, darkness, and grey weather don't really help. Most days, it just makes me want to stay inside under a blanket with a cup of tea. And this year was no different. But there were at least a few really beautiful winter days with a lot of snow. I haven't seen this much snow in about 15 years, and those days brought back some nice childhood memories. But overall, I still had to deal with my usual winter resistance. And on the top of that, my studio wasn't exactly a welcoming place. Over the last 2 months, I decided to change a few things. I completely redesigned my studio. I stocked up on art supplies for the next half a year, rebuilt my website, and finally opened my webshop. And in the middle of all that, I was also trying to return to realistic painting, which was much harder than I expected. When we moved from Switzerland to Sweden, I set up the studio very quickly so I could start painting right away. It worked, but the studio had no character. Books were lying on the floor, accessories had no real place, and all my paintings were leaning against the walls on the ground. Another issue was privacy. I used the living room for other types of work, like editing or studying, which was fine during the day when I was alone. But for the evenings, I needed my own private place to focus properly for a few more hours. So over time, I realized I needed more than just a painting area. I also wanted a small corner for reading, sketching, editing, or studying. Now I actually enjoy stepping into my studio. It feels organized and personal. I can work in the evenings without any problem. Since moving, I constantly felt I was running out of canvases and other art supplies. In the past, I used to order in bulk from a German shop for a very good price and quality, and I was desperately looking for an alternative here in Sweden since months. I went to many different art shops here, but local art shops here are very expensive, and I knew I couldn't sustain that long term. Only later, I realized that there is an Amazon Sweden. So I decided to stock up properly. So I bought a wide range of sizes, but overall I shifted towards smaller canvases. Although I love painting on large canvases, but these large works are very difficult to store, transport, and sell. I also want to try different surfaces, so I bought canvas panels, linen sheets, MDF boards, and metal sheets. In general, I always think very carefully before I buy anything. However, I did overdo a little bit with the paints during a Black Friday sale. They offered a huge discount on my favorite brand, Rembrandt, and the colors are so beautiful, I just could not resist, and here I got a little bit out of control. Still, the mental relief is huge. I no longer feel restricted by materials. I can just walk into the studio and work. Another important part of this period was my painting itself. After painting mostly abstract work for about half a year, coming back to realistic painting was harder than I expected. I started slowly. I worked on small canvases and chose simple subjects, mostly painting them from life. I didn't want to overload myself with complex compositions. I just wanted to rebuild control step by step. But even then, I struggled a lot. I had many unfinished pieces and I got frustrated many times. There were days that felt completely wasted because nothing worked. That's when I understood something clearly. Painting is not like riding a bike. If you stop practicing, you will lose sensitivity and your eyes will need training again. One of my main goals right now is to strengthen my portrait painting skills. I will attend a portrait workshop in the spring and I want to arrive there as prepared as possible. I am focusing more on master copies right now. I don't copy full paintings, only selected details that help me concentrate on specific features or elements that I want to practice. So right now I'm trying to block in shadows and shapes rather and build it from there. But measuring proportions by eye is extremely demanding for me. For a long time, I didn't have the confidence to sell my art on my website. I also felt like I would come across too businessy, and I kept asking myself, who am I to ask people to buy my work? My mindset started to change when I met more and more people who genuinely liked and connected with my work. And my mentality started to shift from feeling embarrassed about asking money to understand that people who actually like my art will be happy to buy it. My website needed a complete refresh anyway, especially since now I have many abstract pieces to show. Photographing the artworks was harder than I expected. Avoiding glare and keeping colors accurate took a lot of effort, but in the end I think I managed quite well. I was very afraid of setting up shipping and fulfillment before, and it seemed very complex. I couldn't find a cohesive, complete tutorial about it. One day I decided I would just figure it out by myself, and that process later became my 2-part Squarespace tutorial. I really wanted to help artists and provide a complete, easy-to-follow guide that literally anybody can use without clicking on 10 different videos just to understand fulfillment or how to set up a gallery. And in case you are setting up your site and shop, I definitely recommend you to check it out. After all these changes, I feel more established in this new place and studio, and I finally have the mental capacity to focus on my art. But visibility still remains a challenge. Even though I made all these changes, it's just the foundation. The real work continues with painting more, becoming better, and of course connecting with people. Doing everything alone takes much longer than I expected. Being both the artist and the manager is very demanding, but building a space, both physical and digital, that supports your work is really worth it. Because this is a long journey, so create a space that you love stepping into. It changes more than you think.